Cool. All right. So I am, speaking of going to testnet check-in, I see a lot of alerts from an alert that I do not know what it does or understand its purpose, called the stacks transfer alert. Is that related to something flapping on the testnet right now? Anyone know?
Sorry. Is this on the alerts channel on our Slack, Jude?
Yeah, I got like 500 messages over the weekend from that.
Well, first, I think we should just remove you from that channel and figure out other ways of alerting you for things that you need to be alerted on.
Well,
So
that's what I'm trying to
make
understand. Like, this might be important. Is this like, what does this alert mean?
So there is one flaky alert that I know of. It's Explorer STX single transaction. That is for the legacy Explorer, and it has been flapping for a week now, I think. We don't fully understand the cause, but since it's legacy Explorer, we're not spending too much time and energy on it. It seems to self-recover after some point. So I would ignore it for now, and then I will also remove you from that channel so you're not getting bombarded by it.
Oh, I don't mind the bombardment. I just want to make sure the world's not on fire.
No, it's not.
Yeah, you should also turn off alerts for that channel for your, yeah. Like
yeah. I don't get alerted. I just see it whenever I turn my computer on.
Oh, I see.
Other than that, how's the testnet? Anything to report? Anything new?
Seems fine. I think there was another reset this morning because we reached the exit at height, and I added a note to the discussion today that once we transition to Xenon, we probably should just get rid of the exit at height.
Sure. But at the same time, we should probably have a plan for consensus breaking changes if they do arise.
Yeah, and plan as in, I mean, for the testnet, we would just do a manual reset, which is what we've been doing recently anyways, because we also removed some of the automation that we previously had to allow for doing non-consensus breaking upgrades without forcing a chain reset. So there is already a process to do a testnet reset. I think it's just my expectation is that we should sort of transition to Xenon on the public testnet hopefully this week, and then see how it goes. If things break, we'll just do manual upgrades, and then starting next week we can fall into a slightly better cadence for when to announce consensus breaking changes. At what cadence do we anticipate them happening? But I don't think we need to do anything too specialized just yet.
Do we have enough Bitcoin testnet tokens available for doing a Xenon transition?
We, as in, I think the expectation right now is that we'll just point people to publicly available Bitcoin testnet faucets to go and acquire their own Bitcoin testnet. Bitcoin.
Not our problem. Got it.
Exactly. Yep.
But do we have enough to run our own miner?
Other question.
I think we have Pascal.
Yes. We should go to the Bank of Pascal and pick testnet tokens.
Yeah, I need to retrieve my keys, but yeah, I think I have about 500.
Okay.
So yeah, I can send you some.
Should be plenty then.
Yeah. Option number 2 is we set up a testnet mining farm.
I think we can just find quicker, easier ways.
Alrighty.
I mean, I think with 50, if I send you guys 50, you should be fine. Unless someone else is mining with like a lot, because the faucets don't give you much, unless there's one I don't know about. But
yeah, that was my understanding too. Faucets only give you a tiny fraction of 1 Bitcoin. Okay, I mean, as long as you guys feel like you have it under control. Moving on to mainnet blocking work items. All right, got some more boxes checked off here. Do I just go through all of these and update time estimations? Is that how you want to proceed here?
Sure. Yeah, let's do that.
All right, voting contract. I guess I should go ahead and open that here. Reed, do you want to just give us a quick update on this?
Yeah, sure. So let's see. Yeah, so this This is the contract work. So far, most of the functions aren't implemented yet. I spent most of last week kind of thinking through how proposals should work and detailing all of the other information I've been thinking about in the SIP. And so right now I'm working on implementing the voting related functions.
All right. Do you know about how long, ballpark about how long that might take?
I'm hoping to have something by like early next week, I think is a good goal. But yeah, I don't know. It's, this is my first time kind of working on like a sizable contract. So I'm not entirely sure what roadblocks are going to come up along the way. But that's the goal.
Yeah, and that's totally fair. And obviously feel free to reach out to us if you feel like you're getting stuck on something.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and I've chatted a lot with Aaron this past week, so I think I have a good idea of how to go from here. But yeah.
Sweet. So I'll just put this at or around November 30th. Does that sound right?
Yeah, perfect.
Cool. Aaron, I think there's a PR open for this now, right? Interposing cost calculation on contract calls.
Yeah, I think so. I think it just needs a second review maybe, but yeah, there's a PR open.
So this is like potentially like today, if not this week.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I think I took a look at that already.
Yeah, I think so.
Yep. Initial cost function determination.
This has not been started. This is basically determining our initial constants.
Do you know about what that will entail to figure out? Like, do you have a plan of attack?
I have a rough plan of attack. Like, I think it's something like benchmarks for each of the native functions, and then running some scaling and comparing them against each other, just to get some initial constants there.
Do you have adequate hardware for this? Like, the reason I ask is because like the profile of an SSD versus a spinning hard drive is significantly different.
Yeah. So I have both a spinning disk machine and SSD. My inclination is to measure this on an SSD.
Okay.
Because I don't think the assumption that miners are going to be using SSDs is particularly burdensome or onerous.
Yeah, I believe that's true. It's also about nodes though. Like Raspberry Pi or something you can test with, or an old laptop.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately I could just run these benchmarks on like a wimpy AWS node or something.
Cool.
Question concerning the priorities. Does that fall under the code complete umbrella, or can we do this post December 15? Maybe a question for you. Yeah.
Yeah, I would be in. I would say this is somewhat borderline. Like you could consider it one or the other.
Also, like if there is a benchmarking harness that someone just has to kind of run in different configurations, I think we can get help from the DevOps team within PBC and potentially some community members as well. So yeah, I would, in terms of your own time, Aaron, I would definitely kind of get it to a point where other people can help out and then move on to other things.
Yeah, for sure. That I expect to open a PR on, I don't know, shortly after this meeting. I'm just trying to get to more or less 100% code coverage in the analysis pass.
Oh, you're talking about this next one here?
Yes.
Okay, so this is like this week.
Yeah.
What is today? 23rd. I should probably say block limit and block fill specification. Is PR open for this?
Yes. Well, there's a PR open for the block fill calculation.
Okay.
But like, I'm not actually sure like based on our discussion on that cost, the fee issue,
Yeah.
I'm not sure like if we actually even need this block fill calculation.
Sure. I agree that you a lot of the parameters we currently are slated to measure at least are specific to that second price auction mechanism. But if we're not doing that in the first place,
Right. Yeah, because like that block fill calculation, basically all it's trying to do is collapse the multivariable cost into a single variable, or multi-dimensional cost into a single dimension.
correct?
Which is unnecessary if we're not doing second price auctioning.
Right. At which point you just want to make sure that no particular dimension is exceeded.
Yes. So I don't know, there's a PR open for this, but then it also is maybe unnecessary. So I don't know, this is,
Well, one thing we will need to figure out though is how do we like how would we assess fees? Like the thing about at some point there's an implicit model somewhere that says like one Marf read is equal to this many compute cycles or something like that, whether we like it or not. And the reason for this is because the cost per transaction is already collapsed into a fee. It's just that collapse is happening in the wallet as opposed, or happening as an emergent property of the system running, as opposed to something that we have to figure out.
right. But because it's an emergent property, like it's not actually essential for us to get this right before, say, code complete. Like
Sure.
Miners are going to be determining which transactions they want to include, and wallets are going to be determining how they want to price their transactions.
Do you have any insights, or maybe this should be an issue of like how to determine what a good fee is?
Yeah, it should probably be an issue. Like, I don't know, if I was a miner, what I would be trying to do is figure out what percentage of, like, what's the maximum dimension that a transaction is occupying. So not even take the dot product, but just like look for the maximal relative dimension.
Mm-hmm.
And then use that as the fee rate. So like if I'm, yeah. So like take that maximal dimension and divide the fee on the transaction by that amount. And then that gives me the fee rate.
Okay. All right. Do you want us to open an issue for that, just so we can have a discussion there?
Sure. But I do pretty strongly believe that this is just like a problem that we should let miners try to deal with themselves.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
My main concern here isn't trying to do the miners' work for them. It's just trying to make sure that whatever miners' decisions make will all be incentive compatible.
I see.
Like we don't want them ignoring transactions, for example, because they're not profitable enough for something silly like that.
Right.
Poison microblock processing. There's a PR open for this. I would like to spend some more time working on tests for it, but that shouldn't stop anyone from taking a look at it. The tests at this point are focused more on the network-wide integration tests as opposed to unit tests. These things are all checked off. That's cool. Next, paying forward the Coinbase in the event of a missing sortition. That's not started yet, right?
No, I don't think so. But I would probably have time to work on it this week after the cost contract stuff.
Alrighty. I don't want to open a new tab here. That's bizarre. Just go ahead and assign that to you.
Sure. And then I think there's actually a pretty related issue.
Yeah.
Which is like update the Coinbase schedule.
Oh, this one here.
Yeah, like if I'm messing with the Coinbase rewards.
Yeah, I agree. You might as well just take that.
Yeah.
You may want to base it off of some of the stuff in my MicroBlock here, because I had to change the fee structure in there as well.
Yep.
Make it closer, at least to what we're doing now.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. This next issue, anchored block hash dependent on POX information. I think we have a solution here. I can go ahead and work on this concurrently with the microblock stuff. On-chain BNS implementation, I think we're pretty good here. I just need to do one more pass on this, I think. Aaron, how are you feeling about the BNS implementation?
Feeling pretty good about it.
Cool.
Yeah. Ludo, is there anything that you're
So I think I addressed maybe 95% of your feedbacks, Jude, and I have some questions about them. So yeah, if you could at least maybe look at my questions, and because maybe there's more work. But yeah, feeling good as well. Now I'm gonna spend time writing tests, more tests, integration tests, I guess. So yeah.
Sounds good. Yeah, I'll take a look at that today.
Thanks.
Vesting implementation. This is the token unlocks from from all the way back during the first token sale and the second token sale. We have not gotten started on this, so.
So I've been writing on feeding the data from V1 to the contract.
Oh, cool. Okay.
But I think that Matt is doing some more work on that, because we've been like working on the format of the file for making it smaller. But yes, so I think that like we still need to implement the mechanic that will release the tokens.
I think there's a stub for that somewhere in the block processing logic. And then there's the contract, of course, that stores all the state for this. Maybe that could be a jumping off point.
Yeah, that's the lockup contract, right?
Yeah, you would probably want to do take into consideration some of the recent stuff that Reed's been working on with a free cost tracker, because I don't think processing token unlocks should be billed towards the miner. Like it's just innately part of the system, but we would want to be mindful of that when processing that transaction.
But Matt, if you want to focus on the migration, I can take this. I can work on that part, like the releasing part.
Okay, yeah, it sounds good, Ludo.
Up to
Thanks.
you.
That'd be helpful, because I think you'd be able to write those like tests for it a lot quicker too.
Note that down here.
Yeah, guys, feel free to reach out if you need some help with the free cost tracker, or just want to know what that's about.
Cool. And this last thing here I added, we should probably, more generally speaking, do a cargo audit to make sure all the packages we have are the latest such packages with all the CVEs closed. I know the current version of Rust Lite, for example, is out of date and has vulnerabilities in it. So we will want to upgrade that before mainnet. It's kind of a chore because it's a breaking change, which is why I have an issue open for it. I can take it. It's something I won't be able to get to, I don't think, until after the other work I have, but I don't think it takes that long to do either. It's more just a matter of doing the necessary refactoring legwork.
Should we do that for all of our dependencies?
Yeah, I agree. We should do that for all our dependencies.
Like the cryptographic one, like
Yep. I just know that the Rust SQLite one is going to be particularly thorny because we use it everywhere. Let's go through the bugs here. ClarityDB and HeadersDB crash race tolerance. I don't know if you all have had a chance to take a look at the Poison microblocks fork, but I have a very explicitly named temporary kludgy fix to this that I had to address now because it was blocking me from even getting microblocks to work. I could reliably reproduce this crash. I intend to not have this part of the code base though. When you see the code, you're going to throw up a little bit in your mouth. Because it involves using a mutex, and it involves using a mutex inside the testnet node. So it's, yeah, it's ugly. We have the full issue listed down here. The real fix is to take away these save points and to use proper Clarity transactions. But at least we have staunched the bleeding on this, I think. I think that's also related here to the ClarityDB handler. Read-only checker. I see we have a PR for this.
Yes, so this PR is, yeah, this PR is only valid if we are taking care of the implicit syntax of like the implicit tuple syntax. And I think that this is something that Aaron wants to get rid of before mainnet.
Yeah, it might make sense for us to try to get rid of it before Xenon, if we can.
Okay.
Just because it is kind of disruptive, I guess, to
yeah,
code.
Okay.
I don't know.
So, okay, I did introduce that so I can get rid of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It sort of depends on how quick it is. Like if it's yeah, if it's a really quick change, and we can get a review turned around on it on Wednesday, and it doesn't like slow you down on the Xenon spin up, then like I would say that we should probably push for doing this.
Okay.
But that's a lot of ifs. So.
Alrighty. If we got rid of the implicit tuple syntax, like we could do that like just before the Xenon release, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that's what you just said. I'm sorry, being redundant. POX user burn supports. I think the consensus here is that we should probably not even have this until 2.1.
Okay.
That's the case.
Yeah, I guess so. My question is are we deferring all of user burn supports to 2.1?
I'm not sure how you can have user burn supports without them supporting the full POX reward set.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so
yeah, we should probably just consider disabling them. I don't think we have to like remove the code for them. Maybe we can just turn it off or something.
Yeah, I think that we can turn that off very easily. Like I think we just don't parse them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Cool. Do you want to open an issue just that says we should disable user burn supports, or just write it in here and all?
So should it be verbose about that and maybe?
Yeah, we should. There's a forum post I've been working on as fast as I can. That it's kind of backlogged though. That talks about this.
Cool.
Stacks node graceful exits. I think we're taking this out completely, right? Oh no, I'm sorry. This is the that was the exit block I was thinking of. This is the graceful shutdown, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I think this is blocked until we get the database unification.
Yeah, I think so.
Is there an issue for this?
think there's
don't think
probably
so.
one that's worded differently. I think there are issues about being able to, I think, restart from the on-disk state gracefully, which is maybe just another way of expressing this.
Yeah. We can close that in favor of something, in favor of a better worded issue, or even just reword it, I guess.
Yeah.
For clarity, nice to haves. I'm not sure what the tuple enhancements are. Does this involve removing the implicit tuple syntax?
Yeah, so one is remove the implicit tuple syntax.
Okay,
The other is, yeah, they're listed there.
gotcha. Are the nice to haves, are these things we think we can get to before the release date? Or should we just defer these all?
I would say it is likely that we'll be able to get to at least 2, but like somewhere between 2 and 5 of them before December 15th.
Gotcha.
Like I would say the tuple enhancements, the variadic map, and probably the static failures for unchecked results are all things that we could probably get to.
Okay.
Because like none of those are like major work items. These are bigger issues, but in some sense, like the unsigned integers as a subtype, that's like really nice. Like that would be really wonderful for people to be able to use, but
it's a big change you're thinking.
yeah, I mean, it requires like an expansion of the type system a bit.
I see. For testing, how are we doing on these here? I guess this is benchmark code, so this is not started yet, or it's tied to the benchmark harness you're going to build. We don't really do line coverage on our Circle CI builds anymore. Do we want to re-enable that so we can all see it, or how are you tracking this?
I think it would be really great for us to have this in our builds again.
I agree.
Yeah, the issue. Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just asking, is the main blocker how long it takes? Is it like how many CPU minutes we have on Circle CI?
Yeah, so the main blocker for running it on like our unit tests is the memory required for the build. Because branch coverage requires a lot of heavy debug symbols.
So what I would suggest is rather than going through all of the issues under testing and deployment line by line, I think there's marginal utility to going through them that way. Maybe we can start a separate paper doc around testing and what we want to see happen there. A lot of these items the DevOps team can help out with. For example, we can migrate the line coverage to GitHub Actions and set up an own, our own runner in our infrastructure that has a beefier instance with enough memory to get things going. So maybe let's just take that offline, and I can follow up with other folks to say what we can do there. Same thing with the 5,000 node test network. The PBC DevOps team has agreed to help out with the test groundwork that Aaron was doing. So they'll take that forward and work on a larger test bed. So yeah, I would say in the half hour remaining, maybe we can either go through the board and try to get to some of the discussion topics, which are hopefully all pretty small.
All right, if everyone else feels like there's nothing really more to discuss here.
I mean, synchronously, I think there is more to discuss, but we can move it to an asynchronous format.
Sure. What synchronously do you want to all talk about for the deployment and testing? I mean, those seem pretty straightforward to me. I just don't, what I don't know is where we are in the progress for them. I'm guessing they're still not really started, or this I know is in progress, for example, the test ground.
Yeah, I think that we're still most of these have not been started on. I think maybe the migration steps, actually, there's some testing going on there, but
I know that the plan is to eventually do online testing where we do this like every 10 minutes or something. All right. Let's go through the board. All right, I think I have to take a look at this again, the bumping the TX mempool chaining. Ludo, you've taken a look, right?
Yeah, now it's literally just changing a constant and then fixing a couple tests. So I just
Alright.
took out everything else.
So it should be pretty small then.
Yes, it is. Yeah,
Cool.
that's the. I was so tired this week. That's the kind of thing I could do this past week, but I couldn't do more, very much more complex stuff.
Yeah,
I'm feeling
okay.
better now. So
Yeah, it's all good. Like, we're grateful for your contribution. Like, I'll be happy to take a look at this today. Aaron, apply should not add functions to stack. This is ready to merge now, right?
yeah, I think it, oh yes, yeah, there we go. We got 2 approvals. Yeah, we can merge that.
Sweet. And min-max medium block, I think I approved it. I think do you need another approver for this?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. I guess I'll just add someone here. Review in progress voting contract. Wait, didn't we just talk about this?
Yeah, I think this is a draft PR. I think that's why I put up a draft PR with the current progress in the voting contract, but this isn't really ready for review. This is mainly just, I think, so that Aaron can see the API.
Gotcha. Microblock fork stuff. I still have to fix the tests here that are failing, but this is ready for review. If y'all want to take a look, I'm happy to walk through it either in this meeting or in a separate meeting too, because it's about the size of the Atlas PR. So Aaron, you just sent this, right? Calculate an execution cost scalar.
Yeah, I mean, I think I opened it last week, but
Oh,
yeah.
right. And I left a comment.
Yep.
Xenon adjustments. I think we've both taken a look at this. Do we need to do one more pass? I think we both.
Yeah, I think we should do another quick pass because I think there's some like off by 1 errors Ludo mentioned.
Yeah, I did push some commits yesterday. Yeah, I started addressing the feedback from Aaron where the change state should be initialized from the change coordinator. I'm having some weird lifetime issues. So yeah, I need to fight with the borrow checker. So yeah, but yeah, I'm currently working with Charlie and we are testing this PR on a deployed setup. But yeah, I'd be happy to have some feedbacks on the changes because, like, for instance, I did got rid of the rotation. Like when we are deriving those, like when we are rotating the keys for the VRF, we were using the number of rotations in the derivation in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And I got rid of that because otherwise it's a bit harder to recover the VRF from a previous session. Like if you want to reuse the VRF key in a new session after quitting the previous session, then you don't have anymore the number of rotations that we were adding. So you can't really like recreate the key pair. So yeah, I'm happy to get some feedbacks on my approach.
Yeah, we might need to like have some like node specific state or something that helps you recover in this case.
Yeah.
Which would be totally fine. We're not going to merge this PR. This is just the perform export. Everything's going all right here, Matt, right?
Yep.
Cool. I will take a look at the Atlas and BNS networking and contract later today. I know I've submitted some feedback, but this is looking in pretty good shape, I think. Everything that we talked about is eminently fixable. This, I think, is blocked until we have a better understanding of how RPCs will interact with the Clarity chain state. Is my current understanding.
But we wanted to add more tests on the, especially SQLite checkpoints, make sure that there's no possible race condition, at least as best. But I haven't looked at it recently. So that's still some work in progress, unless we find a different approach. But
right, we have to see whether or not this is going to create problems. Just because I know that there's currently that runtime panic bug that can arise when.
Right, yeah. Although some of the other changes that have been done on SQLite by merging some of the other databases may actually make this easier.
I hope so.
I'm hoping, but I don't know for sure. So this has been on hold for a bit, but
cool. I think we got the rest of these. I'm already talked about the intercepting contract call costs, allowing defined costs to interpose, mempool TX chaining. So I think we're good here now. We talked about the min and median here. In progress, microblock stuff is now in review. I guess I can drag these all over. Except I haven't done the anti-entropy fix here yet, because I don't yet know if it's needed. I hope to figure that out today as well. Just put that in here. How are we doing on the mining module? Is that I know that I think that Pascal.
I'm hoping to be able to get some more, put some work on this week. Last week I just couldn't.
Yeah, all good.
It was my brain was like mush. I don't know what.
I have a question concerning this component. So are we just working on the server part, or are we also implementing a client?
Both.
Both, okay.
Unless the client will be either in the form of a test, and I'm hoping I can just also have an example JavaScript client instead of a REST client, which might be easier for people to understand how to actually build off of. But there will be some tests that would actually just be like mining, which I think is the best approach for now.
Yep, sounds good. And there's always a way to run the Rust binary in JavaScript. We could potentially WASM build it, for example.
Right, it's more like for people to understand that the code, make the calls, and especially if they're related signing and building the blocks and generating the hashes.
But
that can confuse people, or it's sometimes hard to find exactly the right equivalent in a different language. So at least if you have two, that should be easier, I think, for people. That's why I'm hoping that JavaScript example would make more sense.
But then, so the client would be responsible for implementing the TX chaining behavior that we are introducing with Aaron's PR, right? That's the plan.
The TX chaining will happen regardless, because as long as you're spending the same UTXO.
Yeah, but the client needs to
Yeah.
into that detail.
Because the client will decide which UTXO to put in. Yeah.
Yes, like right now the client will usually do it, but it's just accidental. Like there's no There's no explicit finding of that chained UTXO.
Oh, I see. Right. I don't think the client handles the case if that UTXO is unspendable, but I don't know how. In what world would that UTXO be unfindable by the client though?
Well, not unfindable. It's just like, I don't know, if the client has like 12 UTXOs, like the way that it's currently picking UTXOs, it doesn't prefer the UTXO of its last block commit.
I see. Yeah, it will need to do that. That's true.
Yeah, but what would happen because an UTXO is not infinitely expendable? At some point, it will run out, right?
Yeah. So you want to do, like, a miner would want to do two things. So if you miss that UTXO, what happens is the Stacks node no longer knows how to link your block commit with your previous block commits. So you're going to lose out on that min median measurement. But like as a miner, what you would want to do is, like, as your UTXO is declining, you would still want to use whatever your last UTXO was as the first input, and then add another UTXO as a second input. So it would cost a little bit more Bitcoin, but at least that way your block commits are all linked with each other.
You do that once, or you need to do it more than one block?
You would need to do that whenever your UTXO amount declines to the point that it's not really reusable.
Right, but you do it for one block, or you need to do it like for the more than one block, like since you use like 6 blocks?
Yeah, so you would need to do it just the one block. So like, let's say I have a UTXO that has like 15 Bitcoin, and I'm committing 1 Bitcoin every block commit. After 15 block commits, that UTXO chain will have expended down to the dust, at which point I need to like sort of refund my block commits. So then I would do it by including that dust UTXO as the first input, and then adding another large UTXO.
And the dust UTXO includes all the way down to 0 in case it just rounds that way? That would work?
No, so Bitcoin requires that any UTXO.
Yeah, there's only at least dust, yeah.
Yeah, is at least like 550 Satoshis or something. 5,500
5,500, yeah. But
yeah.
But so in your example though, if you have 15 and you spend 1 Bitcoin, you never have dust left, either you have a 1 Bitcoin or 0.
Right. The last block commit that you do would need to be like 0.998.
Right. Okay.
It would be like 1 minus the dust.
Yep.
I see. Okay.
Then the next block commit would have 2 inputs, that dust as well as your reef.
Right. Yeah, and the new one that you want to keep using.
Yeah.
Yep. But the client would need to be aware of this, though, is the thing.
So if we have this logic of block template API endpoint, should we maybe also have some kind of Bitcoin transaction template for implementing that logic so that miners don't have to re-implement it over and over?
That's a possibility I considered. I don't know whether that makes sense or not, but yeah.
I don't think it makes sense. I think you would want to do this entirely in the client. Like the Stacks node shouldn't be feeding you information from a Bitcoin node, because then the Stacks node becomes a choke point for Bitcoin queries.
Yeah, I think that the one thing you would want the Stacks node to do is to supply you with the UTXO of your previous block commit.
Yeah,
but that's the one that's something the miner would choose, not the Stacks blocks anymore.
Right, but like the Stacks node would be able to tell you which UTXO is the one that's like linking.
Yeah, because it already has that information pre-calculated.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's something the miner should have also.
Yeah, a miner could track this themselves too. So yeah, we could leave that just up to the miner to implement.
Yep.
Yeah, I haven't gone to the Bitcoin sending transaction bit yet, but that's good stuff to know. But the PR is not merged, right?
It will be soon. The
It'll be
min.
soon. Okay, all right. Yeah, that'll be plenty of time then for me.
Moving to new issues. I guess we should each take a look at this, Ludo. What the constants should be in here, because they will be kind of set in stone.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll just take some
Maybe,
time.
yeah, maybe that can be post December 15.
Yeah, absolutely. Inconsistent output encoding. Is this, Mark, do you want to talk a bit about this?
Yeah, this came through via one of our audits for the Stacks wallet. I passed it on to DevX because I thought it might be blockchain API side, but Matt commented that it might be actually core side. This captures pretty much all the information we got from the firm. We'll expand on it.
I'm not sure what the exact issue is. Are we just not reporting the content type in the reply?
I think
I
that
think it might be
the
lack of a course header.
Oh, course header. I misheard.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, they're saying that someone could do like, element.innerHTML equals, payload.cause and potentially execute stuff. But I don't know, that seems like an extremely low vulnerability to me.
Yeah, they made a note that it was pretty arcane, so not to worry about it too much, but if we could make a switch, it would be helpful.
But I'm still confused here. Like the content type application/JSON, that should prevent a browser from ever trying to evaluate this as HTML, right?
Well, you could be a developer and fetch this, and then for some reason directly set the inner HTML of an element to like one of these properties, which would be ridiculous. Like most like modern frameworks like React, for example, that method's literally called dangerously set HTML.
I see. For this very reason.
But it's not a server issue. It's a client. It's all on the client. There's no control.
Yeah, we actually do set it, like it's right there, content type. Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
They're anticipating like their third-party developers using the API in a way that is exploitable, but that's
right. But it's a client issue, not a server issue. No.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure like what this report is even claiming to want.
They're saying use like Unicode escaping essentially on anything that can be interpreted as HTML, which I think is probably a bad idea. Like the readability would be horrible.
Right.
So like you wouldn't, greater than signs anymore. It would be like /u, whatever.
So we shouldn't allow the attacker to control what the inner content here is for this error message, I think is the takeaway. But that's
yeah. Well, they
good.
Sorry, I didn't actually copy this thing. Sorry about that. The recommendation was, except for alphanumeric characters, all values should be hex encoded using your Unicode escape format. In addition to this is a good defense and depth recommendation. Sorry,
I mean, we could do that. We could encode every single piece of data returned that's attacker controllable as hex or as base64 or whatever. But as Matt points out, this would make for a worse developer experience, especially if you're just doing this with curl.
Yeah.
I feel like we'll probably spend more time on this issue than it deserves. So.
Yeah, like JSON encoding already does, like we have an encoding and it's JSON. Like these things are escaped in terms of JSON.
So we can close this then and just say, this isn't a problem.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
and like we should maybe report back to them that like, yeah, maybe we're confused on this report.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, I think they offered it, but they were sort of coy about it, being like, yeah, but yeah. It's kind of a sort of a nitpick, and I wouldn't worry about it. So
Gotcha. Though, yeah, maybe I'm like not familiar enough with like HTTP returns, but if you do content type application JSON, do you also need to supply an encoding?
No, Aaron, that's not like, okay, so like imagine if we coded the wallet and the error handling showed a dialogue and the JavaScript code set the dialogue HTML directly with data from that JSON payload, like directly with the property from that JSON payload. And
Yeah, but
then
the sanitization should happen in the client, not in the server. That the server did its job.
This issue, I think, I agree with DeWalker. This is probably a nothing burger here.
In fact, I would say in the interest of time, if you can quickly look through some of the discussion topics, I don't think we'll be able to review all of the new issues. So I can make a pass through this column asynchronously to see if there's anything that we need to pull in.
All right, so quickly then, discussion issues. Get rid of the exit at block height with Xenon onwards. I think that's a yes, if we can safely start up a new node and switch over if we have a non-consensus breaking change. Other thoughts?
I mean, I think that we are almost certainly going to roll out breaking changes.
Yes, we will. I agree. What do we do about that, though?
Yes, that's exactly the point. Like, I think that the exit at block height or exit at height has served almost as a crutch for us. And so what we need to do, I think there's an open issue for this. Like, we need to be using like network version. And perhaps our magic bytes to differentiate between forks. So like once we launch Xenon, we won't like have dead test nets. We'll just have like multiple incarnations of the test net.
I like this idea better. So we can do that. Like the version field in the peer-to-peer networking code can be used. V2 info can be used. Magic, the 2-byte magic can be used. It's all good. Testnets can just die if people stop running their nodes. Because we'll stop running old testnet nodes when we have a new consensus breaking change. But yeah, we should track an issue.
Yeah, I'll link the issue here.
Cool. Reward cycle length for POX, should we bump it to 2000 now that we're going to be on the main Bitcoin testnet?
I think that we should keep it at 1,000 for the test net. Just because like we're moving to a system that's slower. Right.
Should we keep the registration? Sorry, not the registration. The prepare phase the same length though at 250 blocks, or what do you think?
Yeah, I think so.
It's 250, right? Or is it 240? I always forget.
I think it's 250.
Okay. Okay. I'm in favor of doing faithful testing, but if people really do need quicker feedback for reward cycles, I'm also fine keeping it at 1,000. Dan raised his hand. What's up, Dan?
Hey, I have a question going back to the breaking changes on the testnet and updating the network. Can we, is it possible, as much as possible, to kind of give us some heads up, because I don't have a whole lot of testnet Bitcoin, and I'd like to prevent mining on forks that are no longer going to be relevant. Just want to kind of bring that up.
Should we, yeah, that's a good idea. Like, I don't think we're going to just willy-nilly say new version. I think we would give like a grace period and give 24 hours notice or something like that, or 12 hours. Whatever.
I think that would be helpful. Thank you.
And then I'm happy to send you a testnet bitcoins if you need to.
Thank you. I'll send my address too. I didn't want to presume. Thanks.
Yeah, we'll be sure to have that. I completely agree. Like obviously we want miners besides our own running on the testnet, so we'll be sure.
I can see if I can. I don't know how I can do a specific stacks BTC faucet, but or at least as long as we don't advertise it, I could maybe put something together. But if it's known that there's a big testnet faucet available, I'm sure some people will just drain it.
Yep.
So it might be more like on a peer-to-peer basis. On Discord, I can send. I don't know what amount of bit. If we keep the same amount of Bitcoin that we have, that should last a while.
I think we might need that's a good point, Pascal. Like, how are we going to deal with the fact that we can no longer just willy-nilly give away Bitcoin testnet tokens here. It might just be like something you have to manually ask for the time being. Like, people could just ask. Like, we could have a dedicated Discord channel for it or something.
Yeah, and as long as my stash doesn't run out, I'm happy to share some.
Duwalker, I know you said earlier that you felt like people should just go to whatever faucet they want. I'm not sure that's in the event that does not prove feasible. Does this sound good to you? Having a channel where we can just give out some?
I'm not sure he's still on the.
It is the hour, so I guess if you had to leave.
Because like the first faucet I found is like you can get 0.01 BTC per hour.
That should be enough for mining some blocks, but
yeah, a few. But
it's not going to last very long.
Because the current faucet that we have is 0.5, right? Did we get?
I think so.
Yeah, and that lasts a long time. That was enough to mine up to the exit block.
But there's no longer going to be an exit block, though.
No, but that's just like 5,000 block. 5,000 block in testnet is going to be a while.
Yeah, it will be. It'll be
The minimum was raised to 20,000 sats, right?
Wait, was it?
Well, because of the two shared address, yeah, we doubled the minute. But it still would last. I think the 0.5 BTC would still last a while.
Yeah.
But 2,000 blocks is just one reward cycle, right? Or did you stay with 1,000?
I think we keep it at 1,000 for now. Aaron's right. I think that it's long enough. People will already be grumbling if it's pushed to 2,000.
Yeah, because that would be like 5 times slower with the 10 minutes block.
Yeah, 1,000 is like a week and a few days. It's like 10 days. Well, no, it's more like 7 days. It's more like 7 days.
Yeah, just under 7, I think.
Yeah. So as for the faucet question, Pascal, I think that the answer here is like what DeWalker had said. People are just going to have to go get it themselves, or they can potentially there can be like a private channel or like.
Yeah, no, I think what I could do is that I could whitelist the addresses that people can request BTC to. That might be feasible.
That could work. Like if we know who the miners are.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because then they can get like 0.5 every time they ask, but.
Yeah.
But if they put an address that is not whitelisted, that they don't get anything, and that would be less manual work, I guess, than every time people need something.
Right. That way they're not spamming you all the time for it.
Right. Yeah. So that I'll see what I can do. That shouldn't be.
Yeah, just let us know if you want to set up a faucet. Like we can help integrate it.
Well, I can run it from whatever site I am.
All right, we are a little bit over time here. I don't think we're going to get to the microblocks PR in any reasonable fashion. But are there any other questions people wanted to discuss? Any other concerns, comments, issues?
Nope.
All right, I'm going to stop the share and stop recording.